Hey everyone, welcome to Board Game Informant. I'm going to be streaming 1862 solo, as you know. And sorry for the late start. When I committed to 11:30, I forgot that my fiance was working late this morning, so we had breakfast and did everything I could to get this set up on time. So I apologize, but ready to start now. And I may have to adjust the webcam a little bit, the one that's on me, because I'm sitting in a different position now. But anyways, let's get started. So the solo game is quite different. So a lot of the rules for operating companies are the same, but the stock rounds are entirely different. So let me just adjust this camera real quick. It's hard to do this without somebody else here to help. That's better. All right, I can stand up and sit. All right, perfect. So let's go down to the board. All right, so like I said, the operations are largely the same. When there is something different in an operating round, I'll call it out as it happens. But we'll go over the setup first. So we're going to discard the director's shares, and we're going to then shuffle all of the remaining shares into a single draw deck, and that's going to be what we're going to use to deal out our tableau. And I'll deal that out in a second. The other component that we're going to use is the player order tokens, the 1, 2, and 3, and these are going to determine how many trains get exported at the end of each OR. I'll put these down here to remind me, and then we're going to take 2 of each of the train type tokens. I find it easier to use these than to use the actual permits. Shuffle those up, and I'll deal those in a line, and that's the order that the permits are going to be available to companies as they start. So in this case, the first company that starts, is going to get a freight permit, second company express, third local, etc. So there's six potential companies that can start in the game. I ran through a game yesterday, and I think I started three or four companies. So I don't think we'll even go through all of those. And with that being said, I'm going to preface this play with the fact that I'm not an expert at 18xx nor 1862. So I'm going to play this. Oh, I just noticed something else. I'm going to play this to mostly show off how the solo mode works, not to demonstrate high-level play. So we'll deal out the tableau now. And the way that works is you're going to deal out 9 rows of 6 shares with each of the shares overlapping. And I do them sideways like this, so that way you can see the company logo. The cards are a little slippery. Hopefully I left enough room here. So one of the things I noticed when playing yesterday was that not only does this take up a lot of space with the tableau and the company charters, so I'll try to show as much as I can on screen as possible, but it's a lot to manage for one person. So I'm just going to do my best. Wow, these, I promise I shuffled. A lot of line ends appeared though. I'm just going to have to move this over. We'll figure out what to do with charters when we get to it. Cool. Looks like Eric's in the chat. So let's see. I might just modify this setup a little bit here. Hopefully this doesn't get too confusing, but I'm just going to actually do these in 2 rows. The order of the columns doesn't really matter, so this should work out fine, but I'll just do 5 up here. It's rows 6 through 9 will be down here, and I'll just keep them organized so I don't get confused. Okay, so that's the randomized setup. One more thing. The next thing we do is we pick 4 companies randomly. So I put them in a bag. You can put them in a cup, and then you just draw 4. I put not the home base tokens, but I put the token that has the star on both sides in here because I like to use the home base tokens for the stock prices, so I can flip them over. So we're just going to draw 4 of these at random, and these are going to be the 4 companies that start closed on the map. And whenever a company closes, both at the beginning of the game and later on in the game, if there's no track already laid on them, you're going to take a track tile and put it face down on the board in their home location. So in this case, we've got the N and B right in the center. We have the L and H, the L and D right next to it, and the ESR, which is right here. Okay, so once you have all this set up, the first thing you have to do is a mulligan. So you have 3 options for your mulligan. You can either take a column and put it to the bottom of the draw deck. Move this back. Move it to the bottom of the draw deck and then deal out a new column. You can put these 4 companies that you drew out back into the bag and then draw 4 companies again. Or you can reshuffle the permit types and re-deal those out. So those are your 3 options for mulliganing. I think because I don't really want these 2 companies closed at the beginning of the game, well, yeah, we'll do this as a mulligan. We'll take these off the board. We'll put these 4 back, and we'll draw 4 new companies. Alright, FDR is probably okay to be closed. Oof, the EUR being closed is probably not great. And the entity. Okay, so now we've got the FDR closed over here. We have the EUR closed here. So that might actually be a worse start. Entity in the corner, and the W and F up here. So this is our starting setup. Just to run through how the stock round works. So there are 6 available actions that you can do during the stock round. You can move a share from the top. So you can really always only interact with the top share of any column. So one thing that you can do is you can move a share from the top of any column to the top of any other column with the matching share. So for example, I can take this FDR as a stock action and I can move it on top of this, which would now expose the LNH, which could then be interacted with. Another thing you can do is you can buy a share or a block of shares. So I can buy any of the top shares if there are two of the same share type. So for example, if I had done this, I could just buy the entire block. And functionally, it doesn't matter. You have unlimited stock actions and there's no priority issues. So I could just individually buy them as well. When you buy a share, if it's a new company, you're going to set the par price and you're going to choose whether it's a chartered or a non-chartered company. If you choose a non-chartered company, and I'll go over this again at the end, what causes companies to close, but if you decide to float a non-chartered company, there's a penalty, which is that you have to randomly draw another company out of the bag to close on the board. If you start a chartered company, there's no such penalty. A company floats when 3 shares are purchased. And if you're buying a share from a company that's already floated, if it's a chartered company, you're going to pay the bank and you're going to pay the par price. And if it's non-chartered, you're going to pay the company, and you're going to pay at the current market value. You can buy a share from a company charter, so companies can redeem shares. And if you do that, you're going to pay the market price of that share to the company. You can remove a share from the top of any column without purchasing it. If you do that, if it's a company that's not already on the board, if it's a company that's not already closed, you're going to close it. If there's no track in its home, you're going to put a face down piece of track like we did at the beginning here. If there is already track laid, you're just going to take its home station marker and you're going to put it on the side of the tile, not in the station. And that's just going to indicate that that tile can no longer be upgraded, but you can still run through it. The exception is if a company already has a station marker in another company's home hex and that hex closes, it can still be upgraded by that company. The other thing you can do is if there's an empty column, you can deal 6 cards into that column. That's another thing that causes a random company to close. It causes the company of the share that you discarded to close. If you discard a share of a company that's already closed, nothing happens. Oh, I think I got out of order. I'm going to just repeat what I just said because I'm not sure if I said it incorrectly. So if you remove a share from the top of a column, which is one of the actions, if you close the company of that share, if it's already closed, nothing happens. If you deal 6 cards to an empty column, you are going to draw a random company from the bag and close it. And then finally, you can sell shares to the bank pool, and that just works as any other, as the non-solo game. You're going to get market value for your share, and you're going to zigzag down the share value. You're going to move its marker in a zigzag fashion. You cannot purchase shares directly from the bank pool. So shares can be bought by companies from the bank pool, and then you can buy shares from companies, but you can never actually interact directly with the bank pool. All right. So operating rounds mostly work like the regular game. You can lay 1 or 2 yellow tiles, 1 end tile, or you can upgrade 1 tile. The exception is you may not lay or upgrade home station tiles of closed. You may not lay track or upgrade track on closed company tiles, even if they're face up, unless the company has a home station marker or a station marker, any station marker on that tile already. If you receivership, companies can still go into receivership. And that in this game, that happens when you fall below 2 shares. So if you have 1 share of a company or fewer, that company goes into receivership. Another difference is that non-chartered companies and merged companies, which for all intents and purposes act like non-chartered companies, will receive dividends from shares that are in the tableau. As I said, a company can redeem a share from the bank pool. It can also redeem a share from the top of any column. And we have exports in this game. So we're playing with the long game. So there's in order of A through G, there's 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then infinite H's. At the end of every OR, we're gonna export a number of trains. At the end of the first OR, I didn't flip these over yet. At the end of the first OR, we're gonna export all remaining A's out of the game. After that, I believe it's called the Yorkshireman is who is exporting these trains. At the end of each OR, and I want to emphasize it's not at the end of each set, that's at the end of each individual OR, we're going to discard or export a number of trains from the deck matching the player order number. So at the end of the second OR of the game, we'll do 3. The third, we'll export 1. And at the end of the fourth OR, we'll export 2. And after that, I'll flip these over as we go. When they're all flipped over, we'll reshuffle and redeal them, and you continue to do that until the end of the game. So mergers are also largely the same as the base game, with a few exceptions. So shares in the tableau during a merger are ignored entirely, except for the ones in the top of any column. And those are treated like IPO shares. So for chartered companies, those would go to the bank pool, and for a non-chartered, they'd go to the company. And then the trade, the 2-to-1 trade is done as normal, and any shares from the non-surviving company will remain in the bank pool. So those can't be purchased directly, but a company could in theory be restarted if another company were to start buying a different company's shares out of the bank pool, and then the player were to buy them from that company. And then just to reiterate, there's 4 actions in the game that will cause a new company to close, or another company to close. One is discarding the top share from any column, dealing out a new column, starting a non-chartered company, and the one that I haven't mentioned yet is refinancing. So refinancing works the same as it does in the base game, except that it will have a penalty. It's very strong. It will have a penalty of closing a new company randomly from the bag. The end of the game is triggered after the first set of 3 ORs. So after the first D is purchased, that set will finish. You will run one more complete set, and then the LENR will form. And you will do one final set, but no tracker stations can be placed or upgraded. So at that point, we can calculate the final set. So to recap, after the first D is sold, you finish that set, and you'll run 2 full sets of 3 ORs after that. That's it. The one last thing is I'm using the Roxley Iron Clay chips, but I haven't actually, they just barely missed shipping prior to the Chinese New Year. So those aren't in yet, and I don't have enough chips. I likely will not have enough chips. So I'm using them, and I'll be coloring up a lot, and I have taken some Chip Theory game red chips that I'm not using, and I've written 500 on them. So I'll probably be using quite a few of these throughout the game. But all the chips have the denominations printed. I'll try to keep my personal cash visible at the very bottom of the board here, if possible. And yeah, that's it. So let's get started. So in the initial stock round, I'll be looking at what I can start. So the FDR is already closed, so I'm just going to go ahead and move those out of the way. And looks like the Y and N will be a pretty good one to start. I can get to 2 shares immediately, so I'll do that. And I'm gonna par the Y and N at 100. Hasn't floated yet. So, and I'll be, since there's no other players obviously in the solo game, I'm going to be combining actions at times. So I just bought one from each of 2 different columns. Those were each individual share buying actions, but I just took them both because they were available, and I paid 200 to the bank for them. And let's see, where can I display my shares? I'll display my shares over here. And at this point, getting that third one is going to require me to close both the, well, I'll actually buy the N and B. I don't know if I can float it this turn, but I'm going to par that at, we'll par that at 62. I don't know what's right. Also, feel free to tell me if you see an action you think I should take. Feel free to shout it out. I'm not opposed to getting some help throughout the game, so I'll try to keep an eye on chat. Is everybody able to see and hear everything okay? Now that I've already gone through the whole explanation, it's probably a bad time to ask. Oh, I'm not getting anybody in chat responding, so that has me worried. Is that just my phone? Let's see. Okay, yep. All right, so I'll have to try to see the computers on the other side of the table, but apparently my phone chat isn't updating, so I'll try to keep an eye on it over here. All right, so I've bought a share of the N and B, and I have to choose a par value. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick something right in the middle. So I'll do it at 68. So I'll put 70 in the bank. Take 2 back. And the L and E, I'm going to go ahead and discard. And that will close the L and E. So we'll take tile here. We'll place that face down. And that frees up this Y and N share here, which will cost me another 100. And I think I'm also okay with closing the L and H and the Wisty up here in order to be able to float the N and B this round as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I was in my first game, I was very hesitant. Let me see. Yeah, Eric, I can't actually. Oh, I see what you're saying. Eric was just telling me to turn on my vibrate function, so I'm going to do that. All right, Eric, you should be able to ping me now if you need to. All right. So where was I? Right. So I just closed the L and H by taking a share from the top. I'm going to do the same thing with the Wisty. So, as I was saying, in my first playthrough of this, In my first playthrough, I was very hesitant to close companies, and I think that it hurt me because I didn't have a lot of actions that I could take without closing companies, but I thought I might be shutting down the map a little bit too much. And I'm going to try to be a little more liberal in closing companies just so I can move the game along and do things. And if it turns out they weren't good things to do, well, so be it. So I did that because I also have to take the Y and N and give it the freight permit. And the N and B is going to get an express permit. So the Y and N has now floated, and that'll get $1,000 into its treasury. And then for my final action here, I'll just go ahead and take the N and B from that column. Oh, actually, I'm going to do this twice. I'm going to double check. I don't think I may have failed to pay for a Y and N, so I'll calculate my cash again right at the end here. But I'm going to pay another 68, so $136 for 2 shares. So just to make sure I didn't miss one of those, I spent 68 times 3, I spent 204, 300, so I should have 96 left at the end, and that is what I have. Good. So just fair warning, when you start this, there's a lot to think about, a lot of moving parts, and you don't have anybody to correct you or to help you. So it's likely that you're going to make a lot of errors in your first solo play. Even if you know the rules, you'll end up missing a lot. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to take the companies. I like to do this as they close. It also kind of helps me keep track of the number of rounds we've done. Is I'm just going to put the company markers from the bag out on the board here. If I can find them. There we go. Oh, thank you. Yes. So I didn't take this. I bought this, but I didn't take that. And Joe, thank you. I hadn't put the tokens out or paid for them. So it's 60 per token. So this is actually going to end up with 820, not 1,000. I think that one of the most difficult things I'm finding is that jumping between titles so often, I keep on having the rule set of the most previous one in my head. So when tokens are paid for up front, I'll tend to miss that in this game, and vice versa. In other games, I'll forget that I'm going to have to pay for tokens later, and then spend all the cash out of my treasury. So this floated at 100. The N and B floated at 68. And that's going to get $500. And I got to dig their home station markers out of this bag here. Where's the YNN? Well, I seem to have misplaced the YNN token, and probably when I was cleaning up from the last game. So we'll use a regular YNN token, and we'll just put that red token under it. And if I find it at some point, we'll correct that. And then the NMB is going to start here. So at this point, I have $96 left, and I can't buy a YNN. There are no more N and B shares available, so I can't buy any of those. So the only thing I could do at this point is buy a share of another company. No, actually, there's another N and B available here, so I could close the W and F. That's already closed, so actually I can, the L and D, oh, the L and D is not closed in this game. Sorry, thinking of my last game. So I could close the L and D and just totally shut off this corner of the board, which is pretty much already shut off, so I'm going to do that. So we'll get rid of the L and D. Close that. And W and F's already closed. Uh-oh, Eric's leaving. Now I no longer have somebody to ping me. Oh, I found the YNN token. It wasn't there the whole time. And the L&D. All right, so closed 4 additional companies to what was started, to what was closed at the start. So we'll see how that works out. And at that point, I'm going to buy one more N and B for 70 in the bank. Take 2 back. So now I have $28. Can't do anything, or 28 pounds. And we'll move on to the first OR. So I think because of the export that's going to happen, so first of all, we're going to operate the YNN first. It's going to lay a gentle Y here, and then it's going to lay a second gentle. It's not a Y, just a regular one right here. And then it is going to put one of its station tokens here, and it's going to buy 3 A's. So here's the thing. Doing that's good because it'll get me this great run here. But I could end up saving a token, buying one A train now, buy a B. I think I'm going to do that, you know, now that I think about it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put the A's back because those are going to be purchased or exported at the end of the round, if not purchased. I'll save the token here. And on the next round, I'll buy a B, which will allow me to do this run between these 2 ports without having to place a second station. And that will drop the YNN back because it pays no dividends. And the NMB will go. So this one's an express. I suppose it probably makes sense to just run just a straight here. And then we'll do a straight again, a Y through here. And eventually try to run through this way to these, through some of these towns to these our cities to one of the offboards here, hopefully the Midlands. Okay, so I don't think, so the NMB, should it place a station marker? Probably not. And you know what? I actually think it might make more sense for me to do that as a gentle. I won't necessarily get to hit these guys yet, but I can run from here down to London. And that probably makes more sense. I want to make sure that I get these tiles laid before either of these companies close. Because if they close and the tile's already there, I can't upgrade the tile, but I can at least get through the tile. If I don't do that now and the companies close, those are going to be blocked off like all of these companies that started off closed here. And I'll never get into London. So I think that my goal is going to be to eventually try to hook these two up and get a run into London, running a freight in an express through the middle. So I will not do a token. I will do a token for the NMB, simply because it's gonna be able to hit that Y twice, and I'll buy 2 of those. Yeah. Did this backwards, and I didn't pay for it. That was $100 out of the Y&N for this guy. You know what? We'll just buy the one, and we'll hold off on the token, and we'll see if that makes sense next turn. And we'll buy an express here for 100. You can put 400 back into its treasury, and it will drop back. Pay no dividends. So, is this making sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions about any of the rules or anything that I've done so far? All right, not seeing any responses, so I'll keep going. So at this point, both companies have operated. We are back into the next stock round. This is going to be, well, actually, sorry, the first thing we do is export the remaining A's. So I didn't really want to buy, I know that I'm giving up a little bit of income at the beginning, but I didn't really want to buy a lot of A's because those all get exported at the end and they're going to end up rusting very quickly. Whereas the B's, because of this mechanism here, the B's will still run fairly quickly. I found the train rush to be pretty brutal in my first play, but the B's will last certainly a lot longer than the A's will. So that was kind of my thought process there, especially with three trains getting rusted in the first one. We're going to be at C's very, very quickly. So those will get exported. We'll just put them off camera here. I don't have any more money than I had last time, so I'm not going to take any stock actions, and we'll just go into the next four. So we're still at 1 operating round per set, and at the end of this round we're going to export 3 B's. So the B's haven't quite broken yet, but we'll flip this over now. I'll put this here so you can at least see the train. So they're 2 for a freight, and they're 2 3s for locals and for expresses and locals, and they cost 200. So the Y&N will operate first again. And it will upgrade. It can't upgrade that Y quite yet, so it actually can't lay. Can't lay any track. Can't upgrade anything. It could put a station marker down, but I don't think I want to do that. So I'm just going to run the 1 freight. It's going to run between here and here. So that's just going to run for 11 a share. So 8 and 3. And I have 3 shares, so I'm going to get 33. And it paid out, so it will jump 1 space forward. It won't do a double jump because it didn't exceed 17. If I had bought 3 A's and done the station, it would have run for 21 a share, and that would have been enough for a double jump. But I think this might have been the right move. And now we're going to buy... Oh, wow. Hey, all the way from Japan. Thanks for tuning in. So we're going to buy this 2. And I think we're just going to buy the 1 train and leave this company flush with cash for some of the trains that will come later. So we'll do that. That'll get me this really good run in here. Like I said, probably not high level play here. We're going to go with it. And I should have done that prior to paying out dividends. I didn't do that in the right order, but that's that turn. We're going to go to the N and B. Now the B's have broken, so we can lay green track. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And we're just going to upgrade this guy here. And I think we're going to do... We're going to do this right here. Oh, you know what? I lied. I'm going to give up some income early in order to make sure I can get into London. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay these 2 right now. Because I can only do either 1 upgrade or two track lays. I'd rather do the 2 track lays right now. Now I'm guaranteed that the NMB can get into London. And I could do a station. And at this point, I think it does make sense to do what I was talking about last time and do this guy here. The INB could potentially close, leaving that Y, which can be a valuable token, especially for an express. It could leave that one unable to be upgraded, but now that station marker's in there, even if that closes, I'll be able to upgrade it. And now I still have 1 token left to get into London. So the other thing is, since that's a Y, I can also upgrade the Y to split off this way, and I can run from that station twice and go into here, into the Midlands. Hey, Tadanori Amano again, thanks for joining from Japan. And Tim, appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy the stream later. I apologize that I have to go over there and check and go off screen to check the chat. I thought I'd be able to do it from my phone, but technical difficulties, I guess. So I laid the station marker, I did the track, put the station token. I'm going to run the 2, and that'll just run here and here for 5 a share. I have 4 of those, so that'll be $20. And that is enough for a triple. Or sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's I was looking at the total. 5 a share is just a single jump, or is no jump actually. Has to pay at least 7 to get a jump. So it's not going to move. It's just going to spin in place. So it is nice. I don't know why I just had trouble with that, but it has this chart here. I think on the old board it had 1 error. But I think that they've been corrected for this, but it has this chart here that tells you what share price will cause a single, double, triple, or quad jump. So in this case, you need 7 to 12 for a single. I'm at 5 a share, so it's just going to spin in place. And I will get $20 for that. So I still don't think I'm definitely not going to have quite enough to do anything in this stock run, so we'll just move right into the next OR after this. But I'm going to buy a train with the NMB, and I think that it makes sense to just do a... I always get confused with these, the way the trains work in this. So I can run a 2 here. And then that 3 won't get me all the way to London, so I think I would need, once I get that token in there, I'll be able to do that though. So I'm gonna actually buy 2 of these. That's the rest of the money. It also makes sense to do that now because I have $400 in the treasury of the NMB, and it's not gonna be nearly enough to do anything with that money after the Bs are gone. So we'll get 2 of those, and we'll spend our next action doing the token in London. So we'll go to the next stock round. Again, I don't quite have enough. Actually, I do have enough because the share value here went down last stock round. So I'll just buy, if there's an available NMB that I can get to, I'll try to buy that. And doesn't look like there's any more on the tableau. So I could get rid of these and then fill in another row. Now I'll get rid of these anyways because these are all closed. So I do have an available column that I could fill to see if I can draw another NMB. However, I think I'm going to hold off on doing that until I can build out the Y and N's track a little bit more, because I really need at least need to get a tile on the Weaver home before I do anything else. And I need to upgrade this and get a tile on the Weaver before one of those companies close and locks the Y and N in here. So we will forego doing any stock actions. And now we're going to export 3 trains. That's all the Bs. So trains go very fast in this game. So now we've got rid of all the Bs, and the next thing available for purchase is the C, which will get rid of the 2 A's that we have out here. So going into this next round here, I will be able to get this really good run here. And normally I would just be upgrading this to try to pay out more to get more cash to be able to buy shares, but I'm a little bit nervous about doing that and having these closed off. So I'm going to upgrade. I have to upgrade this before I can place that. So we'll do that now. And that's going to end up being, we'll probably do let's see, what do I want to do there? I don't think, no, I definitely don't want to do the X. I think it's going to be the chicken foot actually. And I'll just do it that way. So now I've broken out of there, so I don't have to worry about that. I won't be able to upgrade it if that closes, but I have a little more flexibility. And I just need to get this in the next OR, and so in the next stock round, I'll be able to refill 2 columns and hopefully have some more shares that I can buy in the N and B and the Y and N, because they'll be running pretty well. So, well, actually, they won't be running. This guy needs another train because so I'll probably end up buying a C here so he keeps running. But right now, the Y and N is going to run first, and it did that upgrade. It's going to run here, and we are still in A and B. Mike, I don't know why you did these colors here, but I forget it almost every time because we're in greens in B, but you have to be in C and D to pay the second row. So I know it's a common complaint, so Mike's probably tired of hearing about it, but it gets me almost every time. So we're going to hit 8 and 6 for 14, and then 3 and 3 for another 6. So that's going to be 20 a share. And I think earlier I had said 21, but it's 20. So, and actually what we'll go ahead and do is use this like it's supposed to be. Mark that at 20, and we'll mark the N and B when we run it again. So that's going to run for 20 share. I've got 3 of them, so I'll take $60. And it's going to rest its own one by buying a C. I think it will just buy the 1. Yeah, maybe it'll buy 2 of them. I don't know. We'll buy just the 1. We'll leave some money in here for the next rank. So I'll spend 280 out of the 500. We'll get 220 back. I don't know why I was even thinking about that decision, because we don't even have enough to buy a second C. So that's going to rust the A's. Which does ruin the N and B's route a little bit, but I think it's worth it because on the next round, the Y and N would run for next to nothing if I didn't do that. And paying 20 share is enough for a double jump, so that's going to run up there. So now the N and B, it's going to take its single action to place in London. Oh, it's not going to be able to. I got to look up one thing in the rules because I always forget this. When they connect end to end, that doesn't have to be at a station. I don't think. I think it just has to include a marker. If anybody knows this, if they just want to tell me, I haven't played this enough to have internalized this rule. I keep forgetting about that. I'm not finding it. I'm going to run it how I think it's supposed to run. But hey, Evan. All right, I think I can do. I think this will be a legal run, but I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But I think I can now run one of the 3 2s, 1, 2, 3, and the other one 1, 2, 3. Each of those has to not count 1, so we won't count this on the London run. And we won't count, I think we have to count the home station, so we won't count this on this run. And we won't count, so we'll skip these 2 tiles. Hopefully I'm doing that right. If not, please chime in. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and we're going to count these 2 for that train. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, and we'll count these 2. So, sorry, we're going to count these 2 and these 2. Sorry, everyone. So that's going to be 10, 12, 15, 17 a share. Oh, let's see. Oh, you can't use the London token as a point for running trains. So I made a pretty big error here then in using my tokens, because I can't actually reach London with a 3 train with that without an extra token. So what do I do then? That's a good point. I'm glad you corrected that. Well, I can't do that because I've already run out of that station, so I'm not going to mulligan that far back. think I ran through that station. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the token in London anyways. And what I may have to do is wait for those Bs to rust, and I'll refinance with the N and B. Hopefully I'll have enough shares to make that make sense. And when it does, it'll have enough money to buy a longer train and get into London. So like I said, this isn't expert play. I made a pretty critical error here, but what I'll do is I'll basically be able to hit all four of these. I'll run one as a 2 here, and one as a 1, 2, 3. So I'll hit these 3, I think. I can run 1, 2, 3. Then I think I can reuse track for multiple trains, so I can run 1, 2, 3. I'll basically hit all 4 of these. So we'll hit 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And 9 is enough for just a single jump. Oof, we're not doing too well. And I've got 4 shares, so that's 36 bucks. I gotta say, it's tough to run a stream solo and play well. It's tough to do that even when we're not streaming with this game. So, so that's that. The first OR of the set, and we will export a single seed, because that happens at the end of every OR. So now we're back to the YNN, and the YNN is going to do its last critical track lay here, and it'll just do, might as well just do that one there as well. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just merge these 2 companies, and then I'll get some money out of the YNN into the NB. We'll see. Might do that. And we will go ahead and place a marker. Actually, yeah, because I'll be able to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Only hit 1, 2, 3, and hit 3 in the middle, I guess. That's probably not as good as just doing that one, huh? I'll actually run for a shorter run here, but I think I'm going to end up with more money because of how valuable these 2 offboards are. So I'll essentially run a 2 here, and then I'll run the 3 just straight to the offboard. And I think that will end up being better than going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and counting. So let's see which one would be better. So here it would be 19, and 6 is 25. Let's mark that here. Or if I ran the 1, 2 here, and then the 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3 to here, I would be counting 12, and 9 is 21. Yeah, so that's going to be better doing that there. So we're going to go ahead and just run this run here for 25, going from here, 1, 2, and then for the second train, we're going to just go 1. We're running that C as an A train, basically. Joe, I think you're right. You're right about me needing a producer, and I think you're right about the rules there. So we're going to go with that. And if it's an error, we'll try to annotate the video later on and make sure everybody knows that we made an error in the video, or that I made an error in the playthrough. So it's going to pay 25 a share. I've got 3 of them, so I'm going to get 75 bucks. I'll start coloring up at the end of the set. And then we're gonna run the that's a double jump for the Y and N, so that's good. Then we're gonna run the N and B. We'll go ahead and we'll wait to upgrade the Y because we don't need to worry about that getting locked in. So we'll go ahead and just upgrade this straight here to a, we'll make that an X actually. And we'll do it that way. That way if we end up with an opportunity to run a local later, we've got a pretty decent local run through there. Because that is the next permit type. So if I start another company, especially if I start the saver, which is out there, I could potentially get in a run through here. And the ECR would be good as well. So we'll get to there when we get to there. But we'll do that upgrade, and we will run one. So I think we're going to hit all 4 of these again. Actually, now I think we can do a little bit better because we can go 1, 2, 3, skip that, hit these 2, and then we can go 1, 2, 3, skip that, and hit these 2. I think it's the same run. Yeah. So 3, 6, 8, 10 a share, and that's enough for a single, and I'll get $40 for that. We're just gonna color up real quick. It's $200. All right, we've got a little cash going into this stock round. We're gonna export 2 more trains. So there's 1 C left. And remember, once we end up getting the first D, we're getting pretty close to the end of the game there. That's the order for exporting trains. So now what I have to decide here, I've got some money, we're in the stock round, and I definitely think I want to buy some more Y and N. Question is, do I want to merge these 2 in the next round? Actually, I should have just done the merger at the bottom of the N and B's turn. I might actually just do that because then that's going to give me an extra token for the N and B that I can then place here and be able to do that London run. And no trains get squeezed off, so that'll actually work out well. So why don't we run through a merger real quick? So in order to do that, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to essentially we're going to end up with half of our shares, and we will actually, these Y and N shares, so that's one consideration, is that if I do it now, the Y and N shares I won't be able to purchase them at their current price of 150. I would end up having to pay 150 plus 74, half of 74, so 37. So I'd have to pay 187 for each of the for those shares, or for one of those shares actually. So if I buy them now, I'd be paying 300 for what will be 1 share. So actually, I think it does make sense to merge them in the previous round. So we'll go ahead and do that, and don't know what this token here is for. Put that away. And so we have 7 shares. So I got to pick the surviving company. I think having the N and B be the surviving company makes sense because its home station is in the middle. So we'll have the N and B survive. And since these are visible, these are going to end up going into the bank pool. And now we're going to start converting shares. So I've got 7 shares. I'm going to end up with 3 shares. Let's just do it up here, sorry. I'll end up with 3 shares of the surviving company, 1 options share, and that option share is I'm going to have to pay half of the resultant price. So like we said here, we're at 150 plus half of 74, which is 37. So we're going to actually be at 187, and that's going to run down to 182. The Y and N comes off. We'll move that down there. Now the Y and N token will go back in the bag. That company can still, I believe it goes back in the bag. And if I got it wrong, we'll annotate. I believe that's going to go back in the bag. And be available to be drawn later if the company closes. Yes, Joe, I have been doing that. I haven't really been walking through as slowly as I may be able to on calculating the roots, just because I'm not doing this as a full teach of the game. But I believe I've been doing the roots correctly, and I can try to slow down if you'd like, and walk through so everybody can see how I'm calculating the roots and making sure that I'm not making any mistakes and overpaying myself, which is probably the most likely result of me making a mistake. So I have this option share, which is going to cost me half of 182, so it's going to cost me 91, and I am going to buy that. So we'll spend 100, get 9 back. So just take that. And then we're going to move everything in the treasury. We're going to move that there. We're going to swap that for an NNB token on the charter. And then we're going to replace the Y and N tokens on the map with NNB tokens. And we'll move the trains up here as well. And now the Y and N, since that hasn't closed, that is available to be started. So all of these shares that got traded in, I think those all just stay in the bank pool. But that share would still be available there because that's ignored. I think these all end up in the bank pool. And I put the wrong Y and N token back in the bag, so let me fix that real quick. The home base token, put that there. So if the Y and N ends up starting again later, we'll deal with that. Of course, that means that I actually have to, if I'm going to start the Y and N, yeah, I'll be able to. I won't go over the station rules, but that's not blocked. I would just have to upgrade it on the Y and N's first action. So I believe I kind of went through it pretty. I didn't really talk through going through the merger, but I think I did that correctly. This is the first time I've even played 1862 without somebody who's played it. With Randy's case, 95 times. And then with some other players who've played it, several dozen times. So hopefully I'm getting all the rules right. I foolishly promised you, Joe, that I would do this, having never played it, and so I spent yesterday trying to learn the rules and ran through it once real quick. But enough about that. We'll just hope that I'm getting things right. So that was kind of retroactive at the end of the NNB's turn, so it doesn't change any of the money because everything paid out prior to. I did that at the bottom of the order for the NNB. And we go into the stock round now, per usual. So I have here 180, 190. I have $200 to spend. And I I think what I'm going to do, because I really don't want the saver to close, because I think that would make a good local run. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the saver and set its token aside. It's not going to float yet. We're going to do that. We're going to set that to the side. Over here, set this one will end up being its home. And then we'll put one more token here. I do have to choose whether it's chartered or non-chartered, and then choose a par value. And I think I want to do a non-chartered. I know it's going to end up closing 2 companies, but I do have what I think is my final route. I don't think the game is long enough that I need to. I obviously want to upgrade these, but I don't think that any of these companies closing is going to end up hurting my ability to run trains at this point. My local run with the saver would end up running through here, and I guess I don't want the ESR to. No, I'll be able to upgrade one of these guys to at least hit a town if I need to run it, and then I can run. Obviously, I can run the local up here and to here or something. So I think I'm safe doing this. So I'm going to start this because the reason that I'm not sure if it's a good idea is I'm going to have to close a company now, and then I also plan during the stock round to refill some of these so I can buy some more shares, hopefully, in the saver. So that being said, I need to see how much am I going to be able to spend. So I have $200. I need to be able to buy 3 shares, so that's a max of 66 a share, so I need to start it at 62. And if I do this, it's a pretty low par value. It's not going to have much money. I just have to hope that more shares come out prior to me needing to buy a train, so I can buy those shares. It's a bit risky. I'm not sure that it's worthwhile doing this, especially with me not having much cash and the shares not even being available. So let's just assume that we're not going to be able to actually float it this round. And let's just go ahead and do it at 100. We'll buy 2 shares of it. Well, we're only buying the 1 share, but we'll do it at 100, and we'll just hope that I have enough money later to be able to do another 2 shares when they become available. So the NMB is probably going to be paying out pretty well, and I could always sell it down. So we'll set the saver at, let's go a little higher. I want to be able to inject cash into this thing, and we can always merge it later too. I'm going to do it at 150, and I'm going to spend 150. Sorry. Yep, I'm going to spend 150. All right, I'm doing that thing, going into the mine palace a little bit. So, gotta not do that. All right, so I've started it as a non-chartered. It's not floated yet. I'm just gonna put this out, but it can't be closed now. So that's the benefit of doing that now. And because of that, I do have to take a random company out of the game. That's going to be the NGC. So, I did this originally because I wanted to track how many stock rounds we had. Now I've lost track. I think we're on the fourth one right now. I think I did no actions for 2 stock rounds. So the NGC is going to close, and I think that's probably okay. It's better than the E&H. But now I need to get some more. I need to get some more stocks out here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move the Weaver here, and we're just going to fill one of these rows here. And we'll see what happens. See if we have to do another one. So anytime you deal out a column after the initial setup, if you have any companies that are already out of the game, you don't include those. So I discard it, and I'll still end up with a full column of 6 cards. NGC is closed. ESR is not closed, so that's going to go out. EUR is closed. Another ESR. Another ESR. Maybe I should be starting that instead of the saver. And then he's out. EUR is out. The ECR is not out. I think that's... Where's the ECR? I always forget. That's the one down here. So that's not out. 5, and then another ECR. So because of that, we have to close a random company. And it's the ESR. So that's here. So all those ESR shares are essentially not in play anymore. We'll do it again. L&E is out. The ENR is not out. E and H is not out. L and D is gone. Another E and H. And the Wiener. Those are all still in play. I and B is still in play. And then finally the ENR again is still in play. So that didn't help me. Oh, should have probably dealt that one out first. I had one sitting on the table in front of me. I didn't see. Must have dropped it. So we'll take another company out, and it's the ENR. So the ENR is up here. I don't really care about that either, to be honest. And I think I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm sure I'll have the cash later. Hey, a guy can hope. All right, I'm rolling the dice one more time, and we're gonna hope that we see savers. And at the top of the column. NNS is still in, FDR is not, NGC is not, NNE is not, EUR is not. Alright, we're getting through a lot of this deck, so that's a good thing. LNH is out, NGC is out, LNH, EUR. Alright, I think we're going to start seeing some savers. There we go. There's one. ESR is out. L&E's out. Please be a saver. The Wisty is out. N and B. Okay. Now we've got to close a company. I can't do that again because we have nine columns now, so I won't be able to start the saver, but that's okay. The N and S is now closed. And where is that? Use this. The N and S is this one here. So that's actually okay because I've already placed a home station there. So the N and B can still upgrade this tile. We'll put that there because no other companies that run into there will be able to do that upgrade. So that that gamble didn't quite work out. We do have an N and B available and a saver available for next round, but I'll have to see how I can clear out one of these columns. I'll be able to clear out this column hopefully next turn if I earn enough cash to do it, which I probably won't. So we'll see at the end of the two stock rounds or two operating rounds if I can do it. So we're into still on 2 sets. We're still in green, and we're now running just the one company, just the N and B, and I have 4 shares of it. If I had saved some money, I might have been able to buy that second N and B there. So what are we running? So our freights, I think we're still running probably the same route here for 25. And I do have one more token, which I am definitely going to be using down here to make sure I can hit London. So what do we upgrade? We're still in greens. Yeah, we'll go ahead and upgrade that Y to this guy. The other thing I can start to do, it's giving up a little income, so I don't think I'm going to do it quite yet, but I could start using some tileways to build out the future saver route, assuming that I'm able to start that at some point. But considering that I don't even know if that's going to happen, I probably shouldn't do it. And that's it. So I'm going to then lay the second token here. Not second token, but 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6th token. So that's the last token it's going to get for the game. So now it's going to run the 25 here for the freight, and I'm going to have to run my express 1, 2. So I still, oh, that's the tough thing. So I'm going to have to run 1, 2, 3 for one express. Then I'm going to have to run 1, 2, 3 for the next one, and then I'm going to have to run my freights a little differently. So I'll have to run my freights going 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, I think. So let's see how that works out. So the freights are going to be connected, so that'll be going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it'll count the 100 or the 12 a share here, and then it's got 3 in the middle at 3 apiece, so another 9. So that's actually down to 21. That should be an N and B. And then its express is going to start here, and it's going to go 1, 2, 3, skipping this guy, and then it'll go 1, 2, 3, skipping that one. So we'll end up counting London and then these 2 greens. So 15, 20, 23 on top of 21 is 44. 44 a share. Oh, got something. Yes, freight trains are hex trains. And those are counted by how many hexes they cross into. So for example, if I start here on this off board, 1 is the first hex that I hit. It's not 1, 2 like a normal train would count those. And then everything in between counts as the crow flies. So for the freight, for non-permanent freights, they have to connect end to end. So for this one, I had to go 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, and then 1, 2. Did I do that wrong? 1, 2. Oh, I think I did calculate that wrong, actually. I think I gave myself an extra 20 on that. So let's try this again. So 1, 2, 3, and then I have to start there, go 1, 2. No, I did that right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yeah. So I did do that right. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then the next one's going to start here and go 1, 2. It's going to count its 2 end locations, so 2 and 10 per share, and then it's going to count the 3 tiles in between. To run the freight from London? I don't think so. Maybe it would be. It might be, actually. Normally I would say no because of the fact that I can run that I count the intervening tiles as 3s instead of 2s, but I think because my endpoints might be better, that might actually work out. So if I ran this as a 1, 2, and because I think I could just run that second train a little bit shorter, and if I did that, I'd be at 1. I can only count London once. So let's see, how would that work? 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3. And yeah, the shortest way back to London would be that way. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think that is better. And yeah, you're right. And then my freights can run up, or my express rather can run up here and hit the offboard. Yeah, I think you're right. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So we're at 17, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles in between at 2 apiece. So that's 8, and 17 is 25. And then my express one of them has to hit, I have to have one hit here because it has to intersect with my other route. So 1, 2, 3, and don't count this guy. So that's 5. And then I can go, sorry, won't count this guy. 1, 2, 3, don't count that. That gives me another 5. And then I can go 1, 2, 3, and not count this guy, and that gives me another 13. So that's 18. Puts me at 430. What did I say I was at before? I think I said 440 before. So yeah, I don't know if that was better or not, but we'll just stick with it. So 443 a share, and I've got 4 of them, so we're gonna get 172. All right, I'll splay them out a little bit for you. All right, so that's that guy. And that's going to be a double jump for him up to 220. And it's the only company that's running. So we'll go down to the next set. We're going to get rid of 2 trains now. So the first D has been exported. So that triggers the endgame condition. So we're going to run through this OR. We're going to then do one more full set. And then we're going to form the, what is it called? The LNER, the LENR. And when that forms, all track and tokening will be done. So I don't actually think the saver is going to form. So I think I'm just going to end up selling that. Unless you can't sell shares in a company that hasn't run, which would be very unfortunate. We'll have to check that. let's see. That just says you have to keep them for a stock round, so I think I can just sell that saver back. We'll get to that when we get to it, though. So now we're in the next stock round. We're running the N and B again, and I think the only thing that's going to change... Oh, right, half price because of no trains. That's right. Yeah. Well, I could be underestimating how much money I can make on it in one set, but with only 2 sets left and only 1 saver showing, I'm just not sure that's going to happen. But I can try to clear as many before I do any purchasing. What I can do is try to clear as many rows as I can by moving shares around and see if I can get more savers out and run it for 2 full sets, and that might work out to my advantage. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that Y. Actually, yeah, we'll go ahead and upgrade this to green. So we'll do that as doesn't really matter. I think that's just going to be a K. Can I do that? Yep. Yeah, we'll just do it like that. And that's going to end up being the same run with just 10. Oop, that's not the right one. It should be a Y. Which means it's not going to be a K. It'll be this guy here. And that brings it from a 30 to 50, so we're going to do 2 more a share. Won't recalculate everything else. That should be the same. So 45 a share times 4 shares is 180. So I'll take 200 and put 20 back, and we'll export a D. Yeah, none of these rust yet, so I'm going to have to start thinking about rusting soon, because on the next turn my B's will all rust. I've got a lot of B's. So do I want to actually withhold here? I think I pay it out now because I'm going into a stock round. I think I withhold next time, right before 3 of these get exported. And yeah, we'll do that. I'll be able to afford even an E train at that point. Actually, I can probably buy a D, and then I'll still be able to afford something later on. So, moving on. That's going to jump as well. So, I paid out 45, which is enough for a double jump. Those are expensive shares, so I could just keep investing in that, but I'm not sure that's going to be the best idea. So, we're now down into the next stock round. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Oh, no problem. Lots of fun. That's one of my favorites. I know it's one of Eric's favorites as well. Yeah, Joe. For me too. I think you just got to get a lot of plays in it. I always stumble on that because it's so different than other games. The intersections, and I'm always forgetting, well, does it have to intersect at a station, and can you reuse the same track, and the end-to-end runs with freights. There's definitely a lot to know in this game about running trains that's very different from other games, and I think that's probably the biggest stumbling block for everybody. So I wouldn't feel bad about that. That's how I am in this game, as you can see from my play here today. So well, let's move on to the stock round. So I've got $403. I could certainly buy an NMB, which I think I should do. Oh, the other thing I haven't been doing is buying shares redeeming shares in the company, which is something I probably should have been doing. So I think, yeah, because the NMB could have redeemed this share last round, and that would have not only paid in, but then it would have been paying this money to the NMB. Actually, that's a question. I think that when you merge companies, I think they essentially act like non-chartered. I think that they do pay in. Let me just double check that. And this game has a lot of rules. They're very different. Let's see. If somebody knows the answer to this, if you want to just let me know if shares purchased from merged companies, if they act just like non-chartered. I believe they do. Because I know that the rules actually have you differentiate between them after they merge, but I don't think that they do differentiate. Yeah, I think that's probably true, Joe. So I think that these do act like non-charters after they're merged. Wish I had thought to look that up before the stream. That would have been handy to know. Let's see. Yeah, I think so, because everything from the two companies goes from the IPO to the bank pool, and things bought from the bank or to the. Oh, so they do. They normally go to the bank pool. They didn't in this case because they weren't at the top of the row at the time. So I actually think they would not capitalize, because the company, like I said, could have bought it in. Because now, unlike a chartered company, they can buy shares. So I would have been smart to have done that back when the price was 200 or whatever it was. Buy this in. Those shares would have been paying in at $45 a share to this company. And then I would have bought it out of the company, and that 200 would have been gone. But now when I buy it at 275, that 275 would go into the company. And you know what? It's a solo game. It's not going to hurt anybody. I'm going to do that retroactively and hope that I'm doing that correctly, because I want to somewhat show what is possible in this game. So I'm just going to double check the rules here about that. Oh, you know what? I couldn't have done that. I made a mistake. This came out in the stock round. That's why I didn't do it. So, had this been at the top of a row in the previous stock round before I dealt all that out, if that was actually there, the NMB at the end of its operating round has the option to purchase a share from the top of any row. It could have purchased its own share at the current price, which was 200, and then I could buy it out of there and it would capitalize into the company and it would have made $75. But because it wasn't available, that wasn't even possible. So we're just going to pay the $275 to the bank. No money goes into the company, unfortunately. And we're left with $150. That's 20. can tell you right now, my score is going to be very low. I think it's going to be below the apprentice score, but we'll see. So yeah, we've got $128 left. And let's see, what are we going to do with that? Can't buy another share, obviously. Even if I sell the saver at half price, that's still not enough. I'm still short, so that doesn't even make sense. I guess what I do is I buy another saver. I can't even buy another saver. Don't have enough. So I think I just leave it as it is now. Let me try to move some stuff around and see if I can clear a row. And that might at least help me see if there's going to be savers available. So these guys are actually out. W and F is out of the game. So I could clear that easily enough. Wait until next round though, because I may be able to move stuff. E and R is also out of the game. So these I and B's can be moved over to here. And the L and D is also out of the game. So that clears that row. And we're going to go ahead and hold off on actually doing anything with that there. But I know that that row can be cleared, and this one likely will be able to be cleared when I buy the saver, because I can move the weaver over here and discard the NS. So I'll be able to put out at least another 12 shares next round, if not more. And that will hopefully some of those will be savers, and that they'll be near the top of rows, or that I can shift things around again. But that was just to show you a little bit how you can shift things around and use the fact that some of these companies are no longer in the game to start clearing rows and getting more shares out there. So that being said, at this point I can't even afford anything unless I sell N and B shares, and I don't think I want to do that. Although there should be. I guess the only thing is if I sell the N and B shares, I'm losing a little bit of value on those shares, but now I can run the saver. I have 3 more rounds before I can run the saver. So actually, I'm kind of going back on what I just said now about not wanting to do that. I think I do sell that N and B. Back into the pool here, and that's going to get me. So I can't sell the share I just bought, but I already had 4 shares, so I'm still able to sell the 1 share, and that's going to go down to 260. But I'm going to get 275 back in my hand. So I'm basically just undoing the share I just bought, but I still needed to do that in order to clear some space up there. So it's kind of one of the ways you can manipulate the rows, or the columns rather. So I'm back at $403. That's what I started at. My shares have lost a little bit of value, but now I'm able to buy that saver for $150, and I have enough to be able to do another one. So put another $150 in here. We'll just make that $300. So I have my second of 3 that I need, and at this point I'm just going to deal out another column. We'll get rid of a company. So Wisty and FDR are both gone. There we go, there's a saver, but it's at the bottom. Wisty's gone, E and R's there, N and B. Ugh, that's unfortunate. That's fine. And then NGC's out. I think I might be able to pull this off. I'll show you guys how in a minute. And ECR is not out. That's 5. One more. INB. Okay. So here's where some of that manipulation is going to come in handy. So I can move these INBs over to here. And then I can move this INB onto here. I can move this ECR over onto that ECR. I can move this YNN here. Now, this one's the problematic one because I can't buy it. Now, what happens if I were to choose to remove it? Remove a share from the top without buying it. So I think I could actually remove this NNB. Let's see. There will be one more stock round. So after the D's broke, Joe, you have one full set of three ORs, and then. Oh, you're right. That would close it, even though it's floated right now. It would just close immediately. Yeah, I can't do that, which is unfortunate because I really need to get rid of that NMB. So I'm gonna have to figure out if there's a way for me to actually get another column closed. I think I can get rid of the Y and N's and close it, and then the L and D will open up. So we're gonna end up doing that. I also didn't close a company. The E and H. It's not great. That closes off my access on this side to run up to that station there. And yeah, so if I get rid of that N and B share, so I could redeem it during the OR, but unfortunately I'm going to have to go through the whole set without opening up the saver, and I'd rather open up the saver. So yeah, it just says if you remove it, that company goes out of the game. So I can do that with the Y and N, and the only downside there is that that won't be able to be upgraded to brown. But I still think that's going to be the right decision here, just because I don't see another way to deal out another row. And what I can hope is that maybe another N and B comes out that I can move this one onto, and then I can move the E and R. So I think I'm going to remove these Y and N shares and close down the Y and N. At least I got to brown or russet, whatever you want to call it, before doing that. So the Y and N is closed now. That can't be reopened. But the L and D is closed, so that one I can discard with no penalty. And then I'll just deal another 6 shares and hope I get lucky. L and H, that goes out. So the good thing is that because so many companies are closed, I'm able to cycle through this deck pretty effectively. E and H is closed. Weaver. Okay, so I think we got lucky here. So we ended up with that. So what I can do now is I can move these weavers up to here. So now I am getting kind of close to this. So I'm going to move that up a little bit. I can move this down here, and now I can buy this saver. So hopefully I did all that shuffling around correctly. I think I did. So that lets me spend this 150. What was this? 260. And I wouldn't have had to do that if I could have afforded that share of the N and B. So that's 150, and we'll put that into the company. And the saver now has $450, and it is operational. So we'll just go ahead and put its home station there. Let's see. Do you have any questions about that? Yeah, Mike, you're right. I didn't see this until I already did it, but yeah. So closing the YNN didn't really have any effects. Oh, and you're right. I was saying I can't upgrade it, but I have the NMB on there, so I can't upgrade it. There was literally no downside unless I was going to start that up again. Thanks for pointing that out. I think I did the rest of the shuffling correctly, so I was able to get that other saver open. So I think I'm done. I've got $103. So I can't, unless I wanted to put more capital into the saver by selling an N and B, but I don't think I want to do that. So it will be able to buy a D at least on its first operating round. So, and it's local, so hopefully it'll start getting some money in there. All right, let's move on. We are in brown. And welcome, Mike, by the way. I appreciate you stopping by. I know you didn't catch my. I don't think you caught the rules teach. Hopefully I got it right. Hopefully I'm doing the game justice. Mentally, I'm struggling, but I think I'm showing it fairly accurately, just not with high level play. So we'll go into the next set, and we'll flip that over. The NMB will operate. So I think I'm going to forego a little bit of cash with the NMB to get the saver route going. Just have to figure out how I'm going to run this. So I guess I think I need to upgrade this guy so I can hook down in through here. So the saver won't have it'll have a pretty good run actually on its first run. So I'm gonna do that. Like I said, I don't know if I'm doing the right things, but we're gonna try this here. What's that gonna end up being? Can't be that. It could go there that way. That doesn't help though. So I think it's supposed to be yeah. Well, I don't know why I was thinking so hard about that. It's obviously that guy. The game has been really horrid to you. Is it never not horrid? This is only my second play, so I don't know. I also think it's not necessarily the game. I think I haven't really been playing that well, but we'll say the game has been horrid to me. If the designer says so, then who am I to disagree? So that's all I can do. I can only do the upgrade there, and we'll recalculate the route here because I'm not really sure what I'm running anymore. Yeah, nothing rested there, so. And I think we're going to be withholding now because we are going to be rusting most of my trains on the next export. So we'll run 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 for my freight. So that's staying the same. And that was 17 plus 8, right? 25. And then connect these in. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 does that. Oh, I can go 1, 2, 3, and then no, I can't go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. No, those wouldn't connect. I can't hit both of these, unfortunately. But I can't hit this one. So 1, 2, 3 for one of the expresses, and I'll skip that tile. And then we'll go 1, 2, 3, skip that tile. So we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. So 10, 15, 18, 21 on top of this is 46. And we're going to keep. Drop back. So give it 500, take 20, take 40 back. So we now have $700 here, and let's see, these rest on E's, that rests on F's, so 3 of my trains are going to rest. So I'll have 1 freight, and I think, yeah, so I think I'll buy this express, which will be able to run 1, 2, 3, 4, and then my freight can go 1, 2. Oof. That's going to be rough. How am I going to do this? I feel like I'm going to have to keep one more time after this. But I think I'm actually going to end up having a... I think I'm going to actually buy this as a freight and just try to run my freight all the way across. I think that's going to be the best way I'm going to make money. So we'll buy this. Oh, can I buy that? What's the train limit right now? Train limit. I always forget this. I need a little cheat sheet. Is it 2 of each type? Am I locked right now? No, it's still 3 of each type at D, so I'm good. It's 3 of each, so I can buy this this D. Is that right, Mike? If you're still there. I think I read that chart right. Let's just look at it one more time. D trains, 3 ORs, russets available. Standard / advanced, 3 of each type. So 3 of each type is what I'm going to go with. That doesn't rust anything, of course. And now the saver is going to run. Sorry, let's pay for that. So I need 140 back. So I still have 340 left. Not enough for a second one of those. So saver is going to place its token there, and it's going to upgrade. It's going to lay tracks, not going to upgrade anything. It's going to do a straight and another straight. Sorry, straight and gentle. And can a local stop at a small station? Don't remember on this game if it can do that or not. Nope, they have to end in so I think that means I may have laid that not the best way, but I don't think I can help it. I think I'm going to end up having to run for not very much. Or well, I'm not running now anyways. I don't know what I'm thinking about. I don't have a train yet, so it doesn't run for anything. Drops back. It's going to pay $360 for that train. It's going to have $90 left. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I was looking for it to connect, but it'll connect on its next turn. So we're not going to drop any. Won't drop any tokens, and that'll be the end of this round. And we'll export 3 trains. So we've now broken into the E's. 2 of those are gone, and all the B's go away. So this guy's left with just his freight train. Hopefully we can get another. We can get a local in here pretty soon. Well, this is gonna rust, so. Yep. Thanks, Joe. And this is gonna get reshuffled. Let's hope we have. Hopefully the rust isn't too quick. Oh, a 3, great. Oh, 3, 2, 1. This is like the worst possible shuffling I could have done. So let's flip these back over. Go down here. The good thing is that I can just keep holding, because I know that this is going to rust on this after this OR. The C is going to rust. So I think what I do here is I just try to run my freight all the way across and keep, and buy a permanent train, buy the E. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can make it from here to here, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in between. We are in E's now, so that's going to be 32 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 32 plus 18 is 50. And we're, what did I do with the, we're actually out of E's. I think I accidentally discarded the last D, which I paid for and didn't put, sorry, the last, D, which I paid for here and didn't put it in, and that's obviously going to be a local. Sorry about that. I hear you, Joe. I'm in the same boat as you. So I've played 4 regular games of this. All of them with I'll just call them experts, and I think when I'm playing with them, I definitely think that I have all the rules correct, but I may take for granted any corrections that they may be making as we go. So definitely, this is not as clean of a playthrough as it would be if if maybe Randy were doing it, and maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll do a second playthrough with Randy. If he's willing to come over and do the solo play, I can run the stream while he does the solo play, and maybe we can see some high-level play. I think I'm not going to speak for him, but I'm going to guess that he'll be willing to do that. So we'll see. All right, so the saver is going to run a 4. As much as I want to place that token in London, I got to get some track out here for it. So I'm going to do 1 here. And I could do that. I think I'm going to just run straight up here, because then I can curve that back around to here once that's upgraded. I think, because that tile, I can do a chicken foot right there, and that'll hook right into there. So we'll do that. that'll end up being a pretty decent run. I may even be able to end up with a local run that runs all the way across. So we do that. That is going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Just double check that. Oh, it can't run to offboards, so I take that back. So I definitely don't. I mean, I could run it this way and get to the end, but that's going to take me longer. But I don't care about tokening in London for sure. So yeah, I'll be able to, on my next turn, I'll be able to go 1, 2, 3, and then I can do the end there and then upgrade that. I'll have some pretty good options for the local runs towards the end. Okay, so I think I did that right. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna hit 1 Y either way. So that's gonna go 3, 5, 7, 9, 12, 15, 20. And that's what I'm going to get per share. The Savers is going to get paid for one of those. And I've got 3. And then it's also going to get to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tiles, so it's going to get 80 more into the company. And 2, that's if I pay it out. I think I actually have to keep because those D's are gonna, they're not gonna rust. I didn't flip that over. We're actually gonna be exporting both F's, so we won't quite break into the G's. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna pay it out. That is going to be only a single jump. Gotta make that better. And I don't really see any need to token at this point. So, not in a solo game. I don't have to worry about that. And that's... I didn't run the NMB, did I? Did I run the NMB? Yeah. I think I did. Ah, man. Hey, did I skip running the NMB this round? Because I don't have it flipped over, and now I'm wondering if I just skipped straight to the saver. If anybody knows, let me know, because I didn't flip the token over. And now I don't have much money. I don't think I could have run it because I kept in the first set. I couldn't have kept in the second set, or I would have another train, I think. So I think I skipped it. Oh, yeah, good point, Eric. So if you guys like this playthrough and you want to see more of this and more of the multiplayer playthroughs, if you check out our Patreon, it's patreon.com/meekinformant. That's MEEK informant. we'd really appreciate the support. We just got a couple new patrons, Joe, and I think we just got a new one, another new one yesterday. There you go. Look up who that was. Tom Rodriguez and Joe Leone, both new patrons. And anything that we get, we're doing this for fun. We don't have any aspirations to do this for a living. So anything that we get from this is just going right back into the show, because the only reason we have the Patreon is to try to get better equipment and increase the quality of the show for you. So one of our next upgrades that we're looking at getting are lav mics. We're probably going to try to do some sound dampening in here, but I don't know if you can tell, we're using a single microphone for the table. It's a good quality microphone, but it picks up a lot of the reverb in the room because it's a fairly large room. And we just want to make that sound better. And then eventually we're going to get some more mounts for cameras. We did recently buy an overhead mount for the camera so we can sit around the table more comfortably. And actually it helped a lot with the way we lay out games on the table now. And what else? So microphones, more mounts. Like, we don't have the webcams mounted right now. They're on tripods. It's a little inconvenient. We can't do large groups around the table because of it. And when we get all of our equipment, if we ever get to the point where we don't need more equipment, these games obviously are really expensive, and some of them are hard to find. So if we can start putting money towards that, we can get more games to show you guys. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Patreon.com/meekinformant. We'd appreciate it. I did run it. Okay, thank you. So I just didn't flip the token. Hopefully I moved the token. If not, whatever. Oh, that means I didn't move it back on the second, because we're on the second set right now. So I think that's correct then. It should be back at 210. And we're going to export 2 more trains. That brings us into the phase F. All the Fs are gone. And we're going to do this last set. Oh, thanks, Evan. Yeah, Evan's one of our patrons that actually found us through our original podcast, was the Meek Informant, which is hence our URL. We're actually going to do a redirect so it's less confusing. But that was our original podcast that we started for L5R. I've stepped away from that for the most part. I don't play the game anymore. I got rid of my cards. I'm still willing to play it with the guys from time to time. But I've really focused more of my efforts on the live streams. We do live streams for that, but those are mostly at tournaments. But I focus more of my energy on this stuff, on 18xx. So we kind of spun off from that. But Evan found us through L5R, and we've actually, I think, got him very interested in these games. So it kind of works out that we've got a couple of different things going on, and there's some cross-pollination going on. And hopefully that makes the 18xx community grow. So we're in our last OR of this set. We're going to export 1 train at the end of it. And right now Gs are available. And we are running the N and B. And I think I'm going to utilize the N and B's tile lays to make things nice for the saver. I'm going to do that by running that and that, and that'll allow me to get an N up there. So, and I'm probably going to keep one more time with the N and B for the sake of having a really good endgame run, because I currently don't have a permanent in there. And that 8 will let me run the freight all the way through, and I won't have any express. But I think that's okay. I don't think I withhold in the last OR at all after that. So I'm going to run the 8 again. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's the exact same run. I don't think anything changed here because we were already in E's at the time. So I'm still running at 50 a share, and we are going to withhold that. Ooh, that rusts my own train here. That kind of sucks, but if I don't do that now, oh, sorry, I don't have that run because I don't have this train that just rusted when the F's went away. So I only have a 5. Oof, this is going to be rough. Am I going to be able to make some money here? So I think I'm going to have to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 in between. So 17 and 12. Yeah, it's 29. Or I run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is 22, and 8, which is 30. So, okay. So I do run through London instead. My intervening hexes are worthless, but London makes up for it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I end up counting these two for 22. And then I go 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles at 2 apiece is 8. So 22 and 8 is 30. And I think when I calculated it before here, it was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is going to be 17. And then I was going to have 4 intervening hexes again at 3 apiece, and that would be 12 and 17, which would have been 29. So slightly better to do that. I'll keep that. 300. That gives me $600. 660. Wow, this is going to be rough. I can't buy the G, and that's going to be gone when the G gets bought by my other company. So I have to hope that I can have enough money in my local to put $60, more. Wow, this is going to be pretty horrible. Wow. Okay, we'll see what happens, but I don't think this is going to work out very well for me. So I'll be able to put a little money into the saver in the next round. Oh, so what I should do though is I should be using this money to buy. No, shouldn't be buying shares because those are actually going down in value. Wow. All right, guys, you're going to see a pretty bad train wreck here at the end. I've tanked my share values. I'm going to have no trains, and we're going to have to go through a whole set with nothing. All right, so the saver, let's just run that. That's going to be running 4 local. First, it's going to put this here. And that's the last track lay of the game, by the way. We're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Should have gone that way with that. 4 over here. So just lost a little bit of revenue there. So we're going to go 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, 17, 19, 23, plus I hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Plus I hit 9 hexes, which is going to put 90 bucks into the treasury. Take 10 out and do that. And then, what did I say, 23? So if I withhold, it's another 230, and I think I have no choice. So both of my companies are going to end up refinancing, basically. So I wonder if I should just merge them. Well, they can only refinance at 1,000, so I don't think that makes sense. So yeah, so I won't merge them. I guess what I should do is I should have bought this in, because I think, no, I don't know how that works. So I'm going to be down to like no shares at the end of this. And they're going to have no trains, which means that when they refinance, all right, we'll get to it when we get to it. I'm going to have to look up some rules about refinancing. But it dropped back, and we export that G. So now we're on H's, which is the last train in the game. They're unlimited. They cost 800 bucks, and I can't afford one with either of my companies. I have 280 in one company and 640 in the other company. So I think what I probably do is I end up selling a saver, buy an NMB. I think the NMB is going to end up running for more than the saver, if the saver can even run for anything. Well, that might not be true. Maybe we'll just keep our shares the way they are. Just buy one of the saver or something like that if I can get to it. So, that being said, what are my options here? So we're into the stock round. We've done this. We don't have to worry about exporting trains anymore. And this is the final stock round, so I've got $163. I could buy a saver if it was available, but it's not showing. I can't get rid of that share without buying it. And I don't have enough to buy it. So, I see what I should have done. Sorry for the tapping. So what I probably should have done at the end of the last OR that this guy ran, I should have just bought this share for $191. That would have pulled it out, and it would have just been in there. Because when he refinances, he's going to have more than enough money for his train. And then I could have bought that last saver. And I think that's how that would have worked. And it is available, so it could have done that from here or here. You know what? I want to see what will happen if I were to have played the game a little bit better. So we're going to have bought that in, and that would have been at 191. So we're going to say 200. There's so much to keep track of. I don't even actually feel bad about doing this because I find this game to be pretty difficult to keep track of everything that's going on. So if it bought that at its 191 price, now I can move this waiver. Oh, that's not even a, sorry, not the wrong one. I can remove the ENR because it's out of the game. Now I have access to the saver share. That is currently at 134. So 140, and I'll get 6 back. So now I've got 29 bucks. I'm not going to be doing anything with that for the rest of the game, but that's going to put 134 into the SVR. I doing? Oh, you're a Doctor Stranging it. That's a perfectly legitimate way. I feel less bad about doing a mulligan like that here because since there's nobody else to have taken turns, it doesn't affect anybody. And there's so much to look at that if I had just looked here, I would have seen, oh, I need to get rid of that N and B. And buying it in the last round here, it's not going to go down again. And then when it refinances, we'll deal with that. And actually, I think I said something about taking this one. I didn't even realize there was one there. So now I get to utilize the money that I have, put a little bit more into the saver. And that's going to be the end of the stock round. I don't think there's any reason to take any other actions. There's no more tiles. There's no more stations, so we're going to actually be able to math out the end of the game. Get a pen ready to do that. And the one thing I'm going to have to do is just look at refinancing. I think that basically the refinancing will work very similar to the mergers where my shares will drop in half for both companies. They'll get recapped at their at $1,000. And what I don't know is what happens to the one in here, but I think actually this share ends up going into the company. I think that's what we end up doing. Mike, if I end up doing this wrong, just let me know. But when we get to that refinancing, we'll go ahead and do that. So neither of my companies have trains. So the N and B can't afford a train. It will drop back and it will refinance. So I believe all the shares from the bank will end up in here. I think these end up in here as well, actually. So there's 4 N and Bs here. Man, this game is not going well. Not only am I not going to have, not only do I have to withhold, recap here, but I'm also only going to have 4 total shares. So those go into the company. I end up with 2 shares, and we put $1,000 into the company, and it buys 2. Nope. It's just short of being able to afford 2 of those. That's unfortunate. Would I even have 2 runs? Probably would, actually. So, well, anyways, we'll just get the 1. Just gonna run the 1-9 train here. Oh yeah, I could definitely run because I could run an express, which would be great. That's quite unfortunate. I guess I could withhold in the second OR and then run a crazy train once. I don't think that's worth it though. So that happens. This should have been flipped over. This guy will drop back. It'll refinance as well. So we're going to ignore anything in the tableau. We're just going to put shares in the company there. Oh, I think because these 4 paying in, I might actually have enough to do it after the next OR. So the saver is going to do the same thing. It's going to get $1,000. And it's got, let's see, 13. It's the same deal. It's going to be just short of being able to get 2 of them. So they might both end up with a second train in there by the end. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of shares, so it doesn't probably matter. What's below an apprentice? Because I think the score sheet in here only goes down to 9,000. You have to hit 9,000 to win, and that's apprentice level. So, oh, and that is a local. Like, that seems low, but if not for a local, that's a pretty long run for a local. So that was the first OR. There's no exports anymore. So now let's run them. So we'll calculate what I'm going to be adding to my $29 at the end here. So the NMB is going to run, it's 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So from here to here, and it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 tiles in between. So 21 on top of 32, is that right? This is going to be 53. That doesn't seem so great. And then the saver, sorry, let's do one thing at a time. So it's going to run for 53 a share once, and that's going to be enough for a triple jump. And then on its second run, so what's it going to get? It's going to get 150 roughly into there. 159. And that, I think, that is just enough. It'll buy with 800 bucks its second H, and it'll have a local for the next turn. So now we'll run the saver, and let's see, where's that running? So that's running a 6 local. That's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't hit. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's probably not as good. So yeah, I needed to tie this in here somehow. So anyways, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is where it's going to run, and that's going to hit 5, 8, 11, 13, 15, 17, 20, 22, 24, 28. Yeah, 28. And it's got 2, so it's gonna get 58 bucks. Doesn't really matter. All right, I don't think it's gonna have enough to get its second train, so I'm at 5, 6, 20, 40, 50, 60, 65, 72. I'm only at 672 with that guy. However, if it withholds, I don't know that running a second train with him matters anyways, so I'm certainly not going to withhold. I'll just get my 58 bucks as well. That's pitiful. Oh, I'm not taking money for myself anymore. Just writing it down. So saver's just going to run for that twice. So 28 is going to double jump, and then 28 is going to single jump. So it's going to end at 166. Plus 28 twice. Sorry, not the most exciting thing to be calculating the end game, especially with just one person, so you don't get riveting conversation while it happens. But that's going to be worth $2.12 a share at the end. And the N and B, freight doesn't change, but now it's running a local, and that local is going to run exactly the same route. I think it's going to run exactly the same route that the other one ran. So we'll go ahead and say that's 28, another 28 on top of this. So we're going to be at 810. So 81, and 81 is enough for a triple. So 330, 53 plus 330 plus 81, 464 times 2 is 928. Oh man, this is bad. Plus 424 is 1352 plus my 29. Wow. 1381. All right, folks. 1381 was my final score. That's pretty pathetic. So to win the game, you need 9,000. So I need to improve at this game. So maybe I'll try to play it a few times off stream and see if I can get better and come back and redeem myself in the future. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not even sure what I did wrong in terms of strategically. I know that the trains rusting hurt. I ended up having to recap both companies, so I had half the shares at the end of the game that I was going to have otherwise. But I think I need to play this a lot more to figure out what the best strategy, because this definitely feels very different in terms of planning for the end game than the multiplayer game. I think what I did well was planning my end game routes, but I don't think that I didn't cap at the right time in order to make sure I didn't have my trains rusted. I'm not really sure. So this was definitely not good play, ending at $1,381. Sorry guys to disappoint. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. I know that I had to look up a few things, so sorry about that. And there's just a lot going on in this game. This is my second time playing it, but hopefully that shows you how the solo game plays. I think that we were able to do a lot over here with the shares and moving things around to kind of show how that game works. It's very similar to solitaire. I mean, in this case you're matching, but the same way that you're moving cards around. So if you've played that, this will make sense pretty quickly. And anyways, yeah, thanks for tuning in. Looks like we have 13 people watching now. And Joe, I appreciate you backing us during our last stream to make this possible, because that was the deal I made. And yeah, that's it. That's all I've got for you guys. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. I think we're not this coming Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, we're going to do something. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but keep an eye out for that. Hit like, subscribe, comment, and again, it's patreon.com/meekinformant if you want to back us. Thanks, guys. Bye.